Hello, my name is Singh, and I'm broadcasting from New Jersey on behalf of Stanford Online High School students from around the globe. So, hello world. With us here today is Mr. Pete Nordstrom. He's the co-president of Nordstrom. Glad to have you here. It's such a pleasure speaking to you.
Well, hello, Tej. It's good to be here. Thank you.
So I think you had a very interesting young life, especially since your father was into the business, and you started working at a very young age at the shoe department at Nordstrom's. I'm presuming it was to instill, a habit of working hard and being responsible. So what did you learn, and would you recommend also that the students of today also start early?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of had to work, so it wasn't really a choice. But I'm glad in retrospect that that's something that my dad valued and encouraged us to do. We ended up working here because when you're young, you got to go where the opportunity was, and this is what it was. There's not a lot of employers looking to hire a 12-year-old, when it started for me. So, yeah, I do. I think it's really important that people get a work experience young, and I don't think it's so important exactly what that experience is, just as long as they're out there and doing it. And you build a lot of character, and I think you learn a lot, particularly doing a job that maybe isn't very easy or very glamorous. And I did my share of that kind of activities when I was working, and I think it gives you a real appreciation, I think, for what work is, and having an understanding of the things that work well for you as you get older and where you see yourself going.
Yeah, it makes sense. Did people take you seriously as a 12-year-old, or what type of a job did you do at the shoe department?
No, they didn't take me very seriously, but they recognized that I was the boss's kid, so people were nice to me. And the department managers that I worked for, they liked having me because they didn't have to pay for it. It didn't come out of their selling costs. My dad paid me out of his pocket when I first started, which is probably against the law now, but that's the way we did it back then. Yeah, I was encouraged and I think embraced in a lot of ways, but the jobs, they weren't glamorous. I did the kind of things a 12-year-old could do. I was sweeping floors and, stocking shoes and breaking down boxes. And I mean, I would do things like scrape stickers off the floor. And I mean, it wasn't a very glamorous job, and it seemed pretty awful actually in a lot of ways to me at the time. But looking back on it now, it was good stuff.
So you didn't get any commission? I'm just kidding.
No, I did not. Well, I started selling shoes when I was 16, and that's when I started getting commission, and that's right. I started getting a better appreciation for it, because then you start getting to the age where others, my friends and stuff, were working, and because there was an imperative. I was trying to make some money, and for me, I wanted to make money to buy a car, and so. When I had a commission job when I was 16, it's a good job to have, particularly a good summer job. So I wasn't thinking about it in terms of, oh, I'm learning all these valuable life lessons. I thought it much more in immediate terms of, I want to be able to have a car and have some financial independence, and this is a good job. So that's really where I was coming from.
And speaking of the sales thing that you did, you were selling, I think one of the keys to Nordstrom's success is the enormous amount of attention you pay to customer service. And then also, why do you think Nordstrom is doing so well while other retailers, might be struggling? Is it because of the, pay attention to detail and customer service? Or it was also in the news that, you had Beyonce's clothing line, and now Tesla is having a showroom in a Nordstrom in Los Angeles. So what do you think is Nordstrom's, secret sauce? What makes it so great?
Well, it's nice of you to say that we're doing great. It's not easy out there right now. I think, our business is in a pretty interesting phase of transformation, the whole retail business, how digital and online really impacts just the whole shopping experience for customers. So, I mean, we've had our share of success, and I think there's some cultural and philosophical things that we adhere to regardless of what technology may enable or whatever may be going on. And that really is rooted in the service thing for us. So we think a lot about everything from the customer's point of view, and if it benefits the customer, then it's probably something good for us to do. That sounds obvious, but it's not easy to do. I think particularly when you have a big business like this, because there's a lot of ways to rationalize decisions based on internal focuses or financial pressures or whatever it is. But you tend to get a great outcome in our business if you're really aligned around the customer proposition. So if there is a secret sauce for us, I think it's been kind of an unwavering commitment to trying to be the most relevant, best customer service oriented retailer there is.
Certainly, and I think that it's an extremely challenging job, but I think there are some perks. I was reading, there's an anecdote I saw you speaking about at a earlier engagement you had. Speaking engagement, you spoke to Sir Philip Green from Topshop and Mickey Drexler, the CEO of J. Crew. What's your average day like from the morning to the afternoon? Any interesting perks of being such a high position at a company?
Well, I get to speak to some interesting people. So if you consider it being a perk, getting a chance to, meet interesting people, then that would be true. And on any given day, that's probably the best thing in my job is all my days are a little bit different. I have my primary responsibility here at work is around merchandising. So that's all the product that we carry and every strategy around the customers we're trying to serve, the products we're carrying, the brands we're working with. I'm kind of intimately involved with all that. I'm also attached to the marketing subject here. And then I also have the responsibility where I'm a co-president of the company with my two brothers. And so all the things related to the overarching strategy of the company, we could be talking about risk management 1 hour, then I can go into a meeting talking about store planning, and then I can go into a meeting talking about kids' clothes, and then it could be, so it's always different. But yeah, I get to do some pretty cool things, and I've been at interesting events and met a lot of really pretty interesting people. So yeah, that's a pretty good perk about this for sure.
And it's interesting since you and your two brothers are at the helm of such a big company, and it's a family business. It started as. So, what are some advantages or disadvantages of family business? Is it interesting working with your brother? Did you fight when you were young? I probably don't think you expected you would become so prominent in the company later on. So, some advantages and disadvantages.
Oh man. Well, yeah, we fought, sure. But there was never any idea when we were young that we were all on some journey or path to become executives at Nordstrom. I don't know if people necessarily always believe that, but there was no sense of expectation by my dad that this is what we were going to do. And his thing is he just wanted us to be productive, successful people in whatever field we chose. And so that was actually really great. So we came to this business very naturally. And it wasn't because we all decided together we're all going to do this thing together. We each kind of had our own journey that brought us here. And for me, at least, it was appealing working with my family. I like my brothers, like my dad. I'm proud of what our family's been able to accomplish. So that wasn't a turnoff to me. I don't think that works for everyone, the idea that they be working with their family, but that was appealing to me. And I think as time's gone on, whatever success I've had individually or my brothers, I think it's fair to say that we owe a lot to to each other as brothers, because I think we're better kind of together as a group than we probably would be individually. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I think as though at Christmas, we must all get the same Nordstrom gift cards for each other. Doesn't it get is it predictable after a while, or do you usually shop at Nordstrom? Because I know transitioning to, I remember, you obviously shop at the higher end of the store, but there's also a younger part of the store for teens. And is that something that Nordstrom is focusing on? And because I noticed that your demographic is actually decreasing in age compared to other stores. So why do you attribute, what do you attribute to the success of teens also joining or shopping at the stores? Is there some targeted marketing campaign at getting younger generation into the store?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because we've worked pretty hard at trying to make our store and our business kind of relevant to a broad segment of people. We went a long time with having success, but mostly because we were selling more and more to the same people. And that's fine to a degree, but it's not a sustainable strategy. At a certain point, you've got to be acquiring new customers along the way. And so we had to be really explicit about that. And it's not easy, I think, to move a brand or to be more relevant, I think, to young people. I mean, because I think in particular, young people have a very astute radar about authenticity. And if they're not coming at it, if a business isn't coming at it in a sincere and authentic way, then it seems kind of phony and it's just not going to work. So, it's important that we're humble about what we're trying to do there. But it's also important that we don't get so focused on an age. We just want to be the most relevant store there is. So if someone's 80 and they want to look great and be attached to the modern world and wear great clothes, quality clothes, then we want them. But we feel the same way if someone's 16 too. I think, if we are in fact committed to the service thing, that's probably the best hook that we have to be attractive to young people, because one of the things that you hear a lot from young people is they don't feel appreciated or respected or even acknowledged in some stores. So we work really hard to say, let's value everyone that walks in the door and treat them fantastic, regardless of age, gender, race, whatever. That's been a principle of ours for a long, long time. We're not perfect at it, but when we do well with young people, it's usually because we create an environment that's comfortable and relevant to them.
And it's certainly paid off. I think Nordstrom has had 6 million more customers since 2010. So speaking of the younger generation, how was your high school experience like? Did you have any particular teachers or courses you loved from which you took away something that has stuck with you and helped you in life? Any specific memories?
Yeah, I guess the thing that would come to mind first is I was really interested in sports when I was young. I still am, but I played basketball, and so a lot of my self-identity when I was young was really tied to being a basketball player. So when I think about my high school experience, particularly at school, a lot of it has to do with sports and basketball. So I think of my coach in those days, Mr. Peppel, Ed Peppel, who's a great coach. I think a lot about that. I guess my regret about my high school years is I probably didn't apply myself really to anything like I should have, with the benefit of hindsight. I probably should have worked harder at being a good basketball player. A lot of that stuff kind of came naturally to me. I mean, I'm 6'7", and so, okay, here I am. I'm a basketball player, but I kind of wish I'd worked harder at that. I wish I'd applied myself probably more in school. I tended to be the type of person that took the path of least resistance and did kind of the minimum to get by. I knew I had to have a certain grade point I had to bring home or my dad would be mad. So that's about exactly what I got. I never got much more than that. And kind of looking back on it, it's a wasted opportunity in some ways. So I had a really good high school experience. I had great friends and a really good time in school. And so I have very fond memories of being in high school.
But it certainly turned out well, though. So moving on to our fun part of the interview, if you could select any person from history and have them answer any question, who would you select and what would the question be?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I tend not to be a super nostalgic person about history. I like history, and there's a lot of subjects that I do. Like I told you, I like sports and I really like music, but I don't think about it that way. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm really more interested in kind of where things are going. I mean, the past certainly helps inform the future, but I guess I don't really have a great answer to that. I think we're more interested, and I'm personally more interested in kind of what we can do to be relevant and kind of what the future holds and how to be the best store of our kind in the future.
And that's certainly a great
lame answer. I'm sorry, but that's my answer.
No, but that's certainly a great perspective, to be very forward thinking. So our next question is, if you had the Staples easy button, what task would you delegate to it, given your job?
I'm not a particularly organized person, so I guess I would appreciate a lot of that stuff being organized for me. And I'm lucky that I have a lot of support here at work. Alston, who you talked about, who helped me stay organized. But in terms of being able to delegate or get stuff off my plate, I think a lot of it would be around just some of the tasks and organizational part of the job that isn't as interesting as getting a chance to interact with people and kind of engage in that way. I'm in a lot of meetings and stuff that sometimes seem boring and perfunctory, I suppose. But if I could have some less of that and more spontaneous interaction with people, or actually me driving an agenda rather than just being a participant in a meeting. That would be better. So that would be nice if I could delegate some of that.
And unfortunately, you also have to do these interviews with the young teenagers. So moving on to our this or that segment, we have the way it works is we'll just give you a short question and you answer it in a few words or a yes or one of the options. So if you could be the CEO of any company other than Nordstrom, what would it be?
CEO of any company. I'd like to be the commissioner of the NBA. How's that? That'd be a good one.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think our next question was the NBA versus NFL, so I guess I'll skip that one. What are so the next one? What are 3 places you'd want to visit?
3 places I want to visit. Boy, I travel a lot for work, so I'm not dying just to go somewhere. I've been to a lot of places, but in terms of places, I guess they'd be places I haven't been. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to go to Greece, for example. I've never been there. I've been to Australia, but it was a long time ago. I'd like to go to Australia again. I think that'd be pretty cool. And then I think maybe Scandinavia. I've been there just once, very briefly, but my family is of Swedish heritage, so I think that'd be interesting to go spend some time in Scandinavia.
Okay, so the next question is: would you rather have 1 wish granted today or 3 in 10 years?
I'm going with the bird in the hand. Let's go with 1 today. That would be great.
Yeah, you never know what the future holds. Would you rather be able to stop time or fly?
I think I'd like to fly. That'd be pretty cool. Let's go with that. Fly.
Yeah, and it would help you with your work too. You don't have to go on the airplane so often. So early bird or night owl?
I'm more of a night person than an early person.
Same. My parents would always tell me to sleep early, sleep early. Would you rather be able to read everyone's mind all the time or know their future?
No, my future, no, their future.
Their future. No, either, yeah.
I don't think I want to read everyone's mind. I think that would be painful. I think there's things going on in people's mind that's probably not so great about me, and I don't want to hear it. So I think the future would probably be better.
I think you might get, how is he so tall if you're able to read everyone's mind. And the last question is, would you prefer online shopping or shopping in a store?
Gosh, well, I'll tell you, as a business, we're really agnostic about that because we have to be. But personally, I kind of like shopping in a store because there's a real tactile and sensory part of what a store is that, for me, I like. I buy a lot of things online, but I think, to be able to go in a store and touch and feel and see and kind of have the social experience of what a store has to offer and being able to discover things and see new things that you might not know about. I mean, if you're shopping online, at least for me, a lot of that is very, purpose driven. You have something very specific you're trying to buy, but it doesn't lend itself as well to kind of the discovery process. So that's why I guess my answer would be a physical store. Interesting
answer. So we'd like to thank Mr. Nordstrom for graciously sparing his time for us here at Pixel Talk and inspiring not only the Stanford OHS community, but youth around the country and maybe even around the world. Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot, Tej. It was a lot of fun.